So for a child, we just say, this is a powerful way of empowering yourself to whatever you wish to do in your life, whatever. Because yoga does not define what you should do. Do whatever the hell you want to do it well. With all the teaching, see what we are doing. Hello? With all the teaching, see what we are doing in the world. Simply because there is no inner experience and there is no substitute for inner experience. Any amount of teaching, any amount of philosophy, any amount of ideologies, when your life is threatened, all those things will fall off. The only thing that stands with you is what is the nature of your experience at that moment. So, yoga is not about unity or connecting with people, it is realizing the nature of existence. The nature of existence is already in union. Suppose for one day, for every one of you, let's say we decided, breath will be left in your hands, you can run it the way you want. If you got little angry, you'll forget to breathe, like this guy. If something else you desire, you'll forget to breathe, all right? Fortunately, it's not in your hands, it's all running by itself. Because there is an intelligence beyond your own intellect and what you understand as my intelligence, beyond that, this is working. We don't pay attention to it, we just make conclusions, oh, God is running it, finished, it's over. Do not jump into conclusions, just pay attention. How is your breath happening? How is your heart beating? What's happening here? How is this alive? Without me doing anything, it's still alive, isn't it? How is it? Such a complex machine, who the hell is running it? If you pay attention, you will get to this intelligence which is beyond memory.
Thank you so much.
Don't ask any difficult questions.
I promise. What a privilege for me to have this discussion with you and try to go really a little bit further regarding the mentions you just did with yoga. My first question will be dealing with the definition of yoga itself. You said that yoga is all about ourself in terms of self-knowledge, in terms of identity. But what would you say to a child who would like to know what is yoga in order to prepare this child to also have the willingness to physically and consciously being a little bit bothered? And I'm saying that for children, but we know that we all have this relationship to yoga, the way to accept that yoga is also a question of physical, of body. So how would you define yoga in a very simple manner to a child?
I think my own story of how I got into yoga would settle that. You okay for a story?
Of course.
So I'm just about 11 years of age and every summer we go for a vacation in my, traditional home of my grandfather, which is a large home, and we are about 36 cousin brothers and sisters. We all gather from various towns only during that time for about 30 to 40 days. So it's one rollicking situation, everybody's out of control. So for the young boys, one of the sport is, there's a well in the backyard, which is just about 8 feet in width and 150 feet in depth. Summers, mostly it is about 60, 70 feet down, the water. One of the sport is to jump into the well. You must jump straight down, otherwise your brains will become a smear on the wall. And for coming up, there is no any footholds or ladder or anything, just holding the rocks you have to come out. So literally your entire weight is on a few centimeters of your tips of your fingers and you'll be bleeding when you come up. The nails will be bleeding because of the pressure. So we like to do it, I'm pretty good at it. One day we are all preparing to do this. A man, an old man, I refuse to call him old anymore considering my own age At that time, a very old man, over 73 years of age, was standing and just watching us quietly. Then without a word, he just came, jumped into the well. I thought he's finished. But he came up faster than me. I didn't like it. I asked how. He said, come and do yoga. Like a puppy, I followed him. I did not know anything else about it. So he taught me some very simple physical aspects of yoga, nothing much, very simple, but a powerful transmission. This is what is missing in the world today. It's being taught like it is some exercise. Yoga cannot be taught, yoga needs to be transmitted. Somebody should live it. So it was transmitted to me in a certain way, just a simple practice evolved into something fantastic in the next 12 to 13, 15 years' time. But at that time, I had no clue what I'm getting into. And within a few years, significant results in terms of my physical prowess and my intellectual capabilities, that was good enough for me, I was not looking for anything else. But this was a surprise bonus that other things happened. So for a child, we just say, this is a powerful way of empowering yourself to whatever you wish to do in your life, whatever. Because yoga does not define what you should do. Do whatever the hell you want to do it well.
Beautiful, so this notion of empowerment is very important in yoga. My second question will be linked to what you said about unity, that is really a core of yoga. You mentioned that our way to be better connected is trying to unite spiritual and material, trying also to unite our own self to the other. Can you tell us concretely, and we can feel it here, you know, in this room, we can feel an amazing unity thanks to your magical presence. How can yoga could help us to be more connected?
See, when you say connected, that means essentially we are separate, we can hold hands. When you say unity, also means the same thing. We are different people, we can be united. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about union. Union is different from unity. What union means is, as I said, when you breathe, it's not about you caring for the tree, it's a part of you. Today, modern science has brought this in different languages, so let me speak that language. Today they're telling you over 60% of your body are microbial life. So you have more microbes than your parentage within you. So it's not that you have to connect with them, you're happening because of everything else. Because of every other life happening the way it is happening, you're also happening. So you are not an independent entity in any sense. This very body that you carry is part of the soil that you walk upon, but we are far away from it. So you don't have to unite with the soil, you don't have to connect with the soil, anyway you're connected. But you can realize it either now or when they bury us. This choice we have, when this realization comes to us. So we are not talking about unity, we are not talking about, okay, all of us should be together. No, whether we like it or not, we are happening here as one big phenomena of life. If we realize that, if we experience that, not intellectual realization, if you experience this, if you experience everybody in this hall as a part of yourself, like you're experiencing the 5 fingers of your hand as yourself, if you experience all these people as yourself, after that, you don't need any teaching of thou shalt not do this or that. Hello? You would not need any teaching. These teachings are efforts to connect people, to unite people, but there is still no inner experience. With all the teachings, see what we are doing. Hello? With all the teachings, see what we are doing in the world. simply because there is no inner experience and there is no substitute for inner experience. Any amount of teaching, any amount of philosophy, any amount of ideologies, when your life is threatened, all those things will fall off. The only thing that stands with you is what is the nature of your experience at that moment. So, yoga is not about unity or connecting with people, it is realizing the nature of existence. The nature of existence is already in union. Nothing here happens independently, everything is connected. Today we think, if I say soil, people say, Sadhguru, where did you study ecology? Say, I've been crawling on this planet for last 65 years and I know what the hell happens here. I'm like a worm. I'm not an ecologist, I'm not a scientist, I'm a worm who crawled for 6.5 decades on this planet. What happens to the soil is happening to me, I can clearly see this. It's happening to everybody, but they don't see it. They're waiting for something bigger to happen to them.
So yoga is really making us realizing the interconnection, the interdependency of each, is that correct?
The oneness of everything. See, I'm refusing to use the word connect, because if we connect, you and me are separate, and we connect. Say, I will die many years ahead of you, you will die at the age of 100 or more, but let's say they chose to bury you next to me. Doesn't matter what's your gender, doesn't matter what's your nationality, race or religion. Will you merge with that soil as I merged, or will you not? Or will you stick out? I'm asking. You will merge, right? Now what is the problem, I'm asking? Now what is the problem? Even now we can Is death the only way we learn? That's all I'm asking. We should learn in life, not in death.
I would like to go a little bit further regarding this title, conscious planets. You're saying that yoga is also allowing us to be more conscious, especially when it comes to resolve some challenges. So, in which way yoga can help us being more conscious?
See, the word conscious or consciousness is a very hugely misused word. Everybody is using it in their own ways. For this, there is a very appropriate word in Sanskrit language. In English language, it's a kind of a general word. We call this chitta. What chitta means is, it is an intelligence within you which doesn't have an iota of memory. Right now your body, every cell in the body has intelligence, but this is all by memory. When I say by memory, do you remember how your great-great-great-grandmother 10 generations ago, what she looked like? You? No. But her nose is sitting on your face because your body remembers. Million years ago, how your forefathers were, the skin tone, it still remembers. Yes or no? It does remember. So this body is a body of memory. There is an intelligence within you which doesn't have any memory, it's pure intelligence. This is the core of your existence. This is what is making everything happen. Right now, everybody breathing?
Better be.
That's a good admission. So, you're not doing your breath, it's happening. You're not beating your heart, it's happening. You're not working your liver, it's working. You're not doing your kidney or spleen or something, it's all happening. So I'm saying there is an intelligence beyond your silly intellect. I'm very consciously calling it silly because we'll come to that if we have the time. Well beyond your silly intellect of thoughts and emotions, there is an intelligence which is managing you. Suppose for one day, for every one of you, let's say we decided, breath will be left in your hands, you can run it the way you want. If you got little angry, you'll forget to breathe, like this guy. If something else you desire, you'll forget to breathe, all right? Fortunately, it's not in your hands, it's all running by itself. because there is an intelligence beyond your own intellect, and what you understand as my intelligence, beyond that, this is working. We don't pay attention to it, we just make conclusions, oh, God is running it, finished, it's over. Do not jump into conclusions, just pay attention. How is your breath happening? How is your heart beating? What's happening here? How is this alive? Without me doing anything, it's still alive, isn't it? How is it? Such a complex machine, who the hell is running it? If you pay attention, you will get to this intelligence which is beyond memory. It doesn't exist or thrive on memory. What exists on memory is a possibility, at the same time it's a huge limitation. See, right now, what makes you one kind of person? Your memory, isn't it? What makes somebody else another kind of person? Their memory. What makes somebody a this nationality or that nationality? Their memory. You erase their memory, do they know which nation they belong to? They'll belong to UNESCO. So, what happens by memory is significant for our survival, because memory is an accumulation of experience. But there is an intelligence beyond memory which we refer to as chitta, which is consciousness. To awaken this intelligence, to find access to this intelligence is the fundamental purpose of yoga.
Thank you very much. I'd like to come back also to the importance of the international recognition of yoga. As you know, the practice of yoga has been inscribed in the list of intangible cultural heritage since 2016 under UNESCO 203 Convention for the safeguarding of the intangible cultural heritage.
I'd like to change that a little bit, I'm just saying in lighter vein, it's a very tangible heritage.
That's a tangible heritage. That's true. So name of the convention maybe should be renamed. So it's going to be a very important year because we are coming to the 20th year of this convention. And I would like to know, dear Sadhguru, if you had any message you would like to give to those who are fighting to advocate the importance of yoga as living heritage of humanity.
One important thing is, most important thing in the world is, yoga should not… people must understand it's not just some simplistic exercise that you can do. If all you're looking for a little bit of physical fitness, just go swim somewhere, you have a river, you swim upstream, you will become fit. Or you go play tennis, you do something, I'm saying. It's not just about fitness. Yes, fitness is one of the consequences. The importance of yoga is to explore the limits of your individual nature, where the boundaries are, how you can obliterate it. You don't have to hold that intent. The process will just do that. As I said, when I started, all I wanted was, I wanted to become as strong as that old man. That was the only goal. I had no other goal. I didn't want to meditate, I didn't want to go anywhere, I didn't want anything bigger than that. That was the goal. It doesn't matter. This is the beauty of living in this world. If you do the right things, even for the wrong reasons, it'll work.
A beautiful teaching. Beautiful teaching. So, any particular message you would like to give to those people? We understand that yoga, of course, is not only a question of physical exercise, or it goes deeper, so…
It can start with a simple physical process, because that's the easiest access. Front end of our life is definitely our bodies. So you can start with the body, nothing wrong with that, but an understanding that you're not starting just a simplistic exercise process, because essentially what we are trying to create is coherence. When I say coherence, well, we were talking about it, you and the tree breathing, it's all one, you and the universe is all one, every subatomic particle today modern science is saying is all connected and transmitting. That means the whole creation is in coherence. But you're not experiencing that coherence. Recently, the Surgeon General of United States said, 1 in every 2 Americans, 1 in every 2 is feeling lonely. Between you and me, one of us is lonely. What's happening to the other person? So you're wearing your heart out. So just look at this, 1 in 2 is feeling lonely in the most affluent nation. When our population is bursting at 8.4 billion, we are feeling lonely. What is it? That is, we are building walls of individuality. Walls that you yourself cannot break. You build a wall that you yourself cannot break because these walls are built as self-protection. The walls of self-protection that you build today, tomorrow will turn into walls of self-imprisonment. That's all that's happening to the world. Everywhere it's happening. United States happens little more dramatically because they're little ahead of everybody else in a few things. So, just imagine in a country, every second American, if they're feeling lonely, loneliness is the first step towards mental illness. You've taken one step, next will come. So, yoga means you're not lonely anymore because only you exist in the universe. Everything is you. Wherever you see, it's just you. So when you see too much of yourself, you'll close your eyes and sit.
I will finish with one question regarding nature and the importance that it has. So how do we feel we can connect with nature through living heritage such as yoga or meditation? And since we saw that the 21st of June is also a very symbolic date linked to nature, could you tell us why we will be also connected with nature when we will do this meditation?
One part of the question is, why is it 21st June? As already Vishal was saying, this is the solstice. What solstice means is, in earth spin, it's a little bit of a tilt. In that process, how much exposure northern hemisphere is getting towards the sun, reaching its peak today, from now on it'll start receding. Because sun's relationship with the planet begins to shift on this day. When such a major happening happens, we, who are just a product of this earth, just the soil is sitting here as my body and your body. Things happen within our system too. Today, unfortunately, we have come to number systems, 31 days is a month and this and that. We have forgotten when is it full moon, when is it new moon, when is it solstice, what is happening, when is different shifts that are happening in the planet, completely unaware. For that there is a price. Every other life is aware of this. The smallest creatures are aware of this. You must see, just go sit in a forest and watch how the ants behave on a full moon night. They're very different on that day. On new moon day, they behave differently. If you pay attention, every life, plant life especially knows this very well in Ayurveda, there's a whole thing of if you pluck a leaf on which day of the month, how it behaves in your body. But human beings, the most intelligent, have no clue about this. This just gets demonstrated in stark ways. When the tsunami struck southern India, we were the first to be there because we had 23 medical vans. Immediately I said, everybody drive there. And I also went. When we went there, one aspect of it is, there are so many dead bodies, people, all volunteers trying to help with all this shifting and doing things and giving vaccinations to people and all this. What I noticed was, none of the livestock was dead except those who were tied down in the homes. No dead fish or 100-foot wave. Millions of fish should be dead. No fish dead. No animals dead, not even a donkey dead. But human beings died. Everybody knew the wave is coming. The most intelligent species on the planet had no clue. Something is missing in our lives. What is missing is, we have no attention for anything. Because right from the day you went to school, where did you go to school? Here, in France?
Yes.
Okay. The day you went to kindergarten school, from that day, they only started rewarding your memory. If you read a textbook, that silly textbook, you read it and puke it on the examination paper, they'll say you're very smart. Nobody gave you any marks for your attention. I simply paid attention to the teacher, I knew their past, present and future, but they didn't give me any marks for that. The moment you value memory and not human attention, you close doors upon yourself. You're in an old soup, cooking yourself up with old soup, endlessly going on, the same old soup. So this is the issue, this is the fundamental issue, that on a summer solstice there are significant changes happening to the world, to the planet, especially northern hemisphere. In the winter solstice, because we are majority in northern hemisphere, we are calling it that way. Southern hemisphere will call that as summer solstice, of course. Changes are happening there much more. So on this day, shift happens. Every yogi looks inward and makes the necessary little tuning, adjustment within himself or herself, because otherwise you will be misaligned with the world around you. There is a certain amount of data, not proper data, but there is a certain amount of data which shows during summer solstice, people become unnecessarily exuberant, during winter solstice, they become unnecessarily depressed. Because the shift is happening and you're not making the shift, you may suffer that for 2 to 3 weeks or more, depending on who you are. So yogis always make little adjustment, little tuning. If you're doing practices, it will adjust by itself. So, Adi Yogi, I must say something about him. He came from somewhere, he did not introduce himself, so nobody knew his name, who he is, where he comes from. But he just came and sat, unmoving, still. People were wondering whether he's alive or dead. But once in a way, tears of ecstasy were flowing down his cheeks. That was the only sign of aliveness. Even breath didn't seem to be happening. So initially crowd gathered that he's going to do some magic. He did nothing, people all left. Only 7 people hung on, who were hardcore people, who realized something is happening here. What is happening? He sat there for months without need for food, water or any toilet requirements or anything. Simply he sat. They realized he seems to have touched a dimension which is beyond his physicality. So they waited. Once in a way he got up and wildly danced, and again he sat down. So after long period of time, when this one solstice came, or that solstice happened to be a full moon night, so on the solstice day he turned south. He was sitting facing some other direction, he turned south and sat down. Because of that, for that position or that posture, Adi Yogi is referred to as Dakshinamurti, that means one who turned south. Because the sun turned south, he turned south. At that time he opened his eyes and looked around, then these 7 people begged, and on that day, the first guru was born. He decided to transmit yoga to these first 7 people. So that is how yoga started. It's fantastic that the UN International Day of Yoga recognized this and made 21st of June, the solstice day, as the International Yoga Day. That's remarkable.
Beautiful, thank you.